Hi, I'm Cavin Elizabeth. I'm a wedding photographer based in San Diego, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about when you should book your wedding photographer. So this kind of is a video about not only when you should book, but also kind of goes hand in hand on when you should actually reach out. My philosophy is that you shouldn't really reach out to vendors unless you're pretty much ready to book somebody. Now I know you need to talk to a couple people, make your decision, but I really recommend not contacting vendors until you at least could make a decision on them within a week or two. I think that's best so that everything is not too drawn out. You have enough kind of fresh memories on your mind of the vendors that you talk to. You're also not dragging things out for them. So what happens when a couple reaches out to me is that I immediately create an inquiry file for them, and I make sure that I have to-do list under that inquiry to follow up, send pertinent information. And so if I have a couple who reaches out to me, but they're really not ready to book for like a month or so, that's a really drawn out process for me. It's kind of left open. I kind of like to get inquiries in, have a conversation with them, see if we're a great fit, and then square things up pretty soon so that things aren't dragging out, because if you wait too long in between, prices could go up, somebody else could come in and book the date. So for me, it's better to just kind of get things done in a more timely manner. Thus, I prefer when couples reach out to me when they are close to being able to book, whether it's me or somebody else, just so that they're ready to make a decision in a reasonable amount of time. So one thing I will say is that I personally think it's best to wait to reach out to photographers until you actually have a venue and a date secured, or at least in the process of putting down your deposit for a venue, but you definitely know when and where you're getting married. Because whatever the reason, I've had several couples reach out to me in the last couple months who have neither of those things. So for me, that's really hard to allow them to book me sometimes. If I don't know their date or their venue, it's just a little bit difficult. Something could happen where maybe I let them book me without a date and venue, and then they come back to me and they say, okay, we secured our date. It's, I don't know, January 15th. Well, what if I actually don't have January 15th available anymore and they didn't check with me before putting down the deposit at the venue? Then now I can no longer be their photographer. So it just creates difficulties, and it's one of those things where photographers in general just seem to prefer booking couples once they actually have a venue and a date set, or at least know where and when they're going, so that we have something set in stone to put in that contract and to hold that date in our calendar for them. If we don't have a date, it's really hard to hold it. Something could come up, something could happen. So it's best to wait until you have those two things solidified to reach out. I know you might be really excited, and if you've already reached out to photographers and don't have a venue or a date, this is not trying to make you feel bad. It's just trying to say that I personally and many other photographers prefer when the couples actually have some solid information set in stone. And also to us, it's definitely a place where when you have those two things set, you're more serious about booking. So if you're trying to reach out to photographers and you have nothing set, it sometimes feels like maybe the couple isn't quite so serious yet. Maybe they're going to drag things along. So it's one of those things where, again, have your date and have your venue before you book anybody. Your planner might be an exception, because sometimes planners will help couples find the venue and thus the date, but for photographers, you should really have those things set. Now, in terms of when might be too early to reach out, if you don't have a date or venue, probably a little too early to reach out. But another thing that's a little bit too early to reach out is if you are something like 2 years out from your wedding date. Now, some photographers, depending on where in the country they live, might be willing to book you 2 years out. But I know for me and for many other of my colleagues here in Southern California, we will pretty much not book a couple that is more than like a year to a year and a half in advance, just kind of depending. My personal preference is not to book anybody that's more than a year and a half out, just because you never know what's going to happen 2 years down the road. I don't have any plans to move or to switch careers, but you just never know. So sometimes for us vendors, something like 2 years, that's so far away that we might not feel comfortable booking that, just because we don't know what's going to happen, or our prices might increase, our style might change just a little bit along the way. So there are a lot of variables that make that 2-year period a little bit too risky for us to book. But most people, again, like aren't booking that early. So if you're worried the vendors you love are going to get snatched up, you're probably going to be completely fine even waiting a year and a half to a year before your wedding to book them. Most couples are booking me about 6 to 9 months out. Now, on the flip side of that, do not wait too late to book your photographers. So if you're trying to reach out to your photographers 2 months before your wedding, there's a good chance that the photographers that you want are probably already going to be booked up. Now, I personally don't like booking full wedding packages that close to the date. I don't mind it for elopements or smaller weddings where there aren't that many complexities around the event. And the reason why is because what I do for my couples is I send them a large number of emails educating them on certain parts of the wedding day to help them have the best possible photos. So I also am sending questionnaires to them, and we're doing the engagement session. That's typically something that I'm sending across a 6 to 9, maybe even 12-month period. And when I have to cram those into a month and a half, 2 months, even 3 months, it is a lot, and it is very overwhelming for the couples to get that much information in such a short amount of time. I also feel like I don't get to know them as well, and it's just feeling rushing. So I personally like to take my time with things if I can. That's not to say that I can't shoot somebody's wedding if they contact me 3 months out. It's just to say that it is a lot more pleasant for the couple if they have more time to kind of absorb all the information I'm throwing at them, the questionnaires I'm sending them. I've booked a couple that was a month and a half out before, and it just felt like too much to be giving them, but that's the information that they needed, but it was just a lot in a very short amount of time. I have a lot of couples reach out to me and they say our wedding is in August, and I'm like, August of this year or August of next year, because it could be like July, and they'll tell me August of this year, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm no longer available. I haven't been available for a long time. It's just one of those things where if you wait too late, chances are you might not get the people you want. You'll have to search and search for other people. A lot of times there are a couple of dates per year that just seem to be the most popular dates for weddings, and people get snatched up for those random dates very quickly. This year it was a couple dates in October, and then I had couples coming to me last minute, and I didn't even know anybody I could refer them to who was still available because everyone I knew was already booked up. So definitely don't wait too late. If you are deciding to start planning really soon and you pick a date that's really close, then I would say you are definitely going to have your fingers crossed that the vendors that you want are available. So again, just don't wait too late. Don't do way too early. Don't do way too late unless you're having something smaller, and don't mind doing some extra searching in case the people you want are already booked. When is the ideal point in time to book your wedding photographer? For me personally, I like when couples are booking me 9 to 12 months in advance because that makes sure that I am likely available. It also gives me enough time to do all the things of service that I love providing for my couples. I get to know them. We don't have to rush the engagement session. There's just a lot of great benefits to booking in that time frame. That said, if a couple books me 6 months out, that's fine too. I've done that quite a lot, but I would say the majority of my couples are booking me around 9 to 12 months in advance. And that's just really great for them because they don't have to get overwhelmed with information I send them. We've got a long amount of time to get that information to them, get to know them, build trust, just all these great things. So it gives us time to plan the timeline of the wedding day together, so we really don't have to rush or stress about anything, and it's not too close to the wedding day either. So that's a really great time to reach out. If that time is already passed for you and you're wondering when to book your photographer and your wedding is now less than 9 months away, get on it. Do it today. Reach out to some people. Do your research. Do not wait too late. It's definitely one of those things where if you wait too late, you might lose out on the people that you really want. So please try to reach out 9 to 12 months in advance for your photographer. If you live in a part of the country where photographers seem to book out a year and a half in advance, then maybe reach out a little bit earlier. But most people that I have just spoken to about photography booking times say 9 to 12 months is kind of their ideal. It's not too close, it's not too far out. So that's what I would recommend. And again, when you reach out to your photographer, make sure that you have a date and venue set. It's also really helpful to just have a ballpark idea of what your budget is, because if you are just reaching out to a bunch of photographers who have all sorts of different price ranges, you might end up wasting a lot of your time and a lot of their time if you just have no idea what your budget is. You're just collecting information. There are actually a lot of great resources online that will give you an idea of how much photographers cost, so that you don't have to do your research as you are also searching for photographers. You've done it in advance. If you have a wedding planner, they're going to be really great to help you with that. General guidelines is that I would say about 10 to maybe 15% of your wedding budget should be allocated towards photography if it's something that you care about, and if you're watching this video, you probably do. But I would say if photography is an ultimate priority for you, you could consider bumping it up to like 18% if there's somebody that you really, really love, but they're out of that kind of 10 to 15% range, and that's something that is so important to you that you are absolutely willing to increase your photography budget, maybe decrease the budget of something else. I will do a video in the future on things that you can cut out of your budget or tricks you can do to kind of reallocate funds into places where you want them more. But I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you did like it, please be sure to leave a like and comment down below if you have any ideas and requests for future videos. Have a great week, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!